Down here, Vagabond Buddha. I'm in Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, Mexico. Just finished my run. Had a few thoughts I wanted to share with you. So humans, or maybe living things, have consciousness if they have any kind of choice. They have to have input, or they have to be aware of their surroundings. And then as they become higher order animals, some of them have not just perception, but they also have content, which is a memory that they use to decipher the world and make choices. And in order to decipher that, you need experience, and of course, experience comes after birth. So on the day you're born, you're pure consciousness. This isn't a hypothesis; it's just my personal observation of the way of being a human. And as you get older, you have more content. You learn more things, you have more information you can rely back on. But on the day you're born, you're consciousness itself, and there's no content at all. There's an argument in science about whether you're born with a sort of genetic memory. That, if you saw a lion and you were able to run, which you probably can't run the day you're born, but you would run from a lion. And so I'm not really addressing that here. And so I'm just talking about on the day you're born, you are consciousness, which means you perceive, you're conscious. You have a perception of all that is, but you have no content yet. You don't know in the social sense. There's a person near you that you've been with for 9 months, your mother, but you don't know the concept of mother. You don't know the concept of doctor or light. You're seeing light maybe for the first time. You're hearing sounds and you don't know what they mean, and they're going right in your ears. Before they were coming through your mother's skin, you were hearing sound before, and so from that day forward, you begin to collect this information, or let's call it content, and you use it to make decisions. If you ever burn your hand on the stove, you know not to put it on the stove. You stay away from a stove. And as you get older, you learn a nuance of whether or not the stove is hot, whether or not it's turned on, and over time you have a bunch of content. And as your content grows, you spend less and less time in perception or of being. And you become more interested in the content that you've filtered through your life and the universe you've created. You've classified everything, given it names, labeled stuff good and bad, and you become more and more involved in that. And as you become more involved in the dialogue of your head about what the information that's perceived and arriving at you means and what your reaction to it should be, you become more involved and interested in your personality, like who you are, what you believe in, and you begin to see yourself as that more than you do perception itself. And at some point, it all merges, and you lose that reference point that you were consciousness before there was content. And so that's my modern explanation of who the Buddha was, or who Christ was, or whatever your God's name is or was, is their consciousness itself. They don't have an individual point of view. They have a collective point of view that's observations of the all for all time. Whereas your personality is a subset of that. It's what you saw what you grew up with, what you believe in, and it's filtered and created based on where you were born in the world and who your family is and what your society's beliefs are and who your country's enemies are, who your God is, who your neighbor's God is. All this stuff is related to the geography of your birthplace and your formative years. And sadly, humans take the geography as authoritative, and they're willing to kill other people around the planet because of their geography. And it's not like there's any truth in the fact that you were born in this place and everything is correct. Because whoever was born somewhere else, they have their truth that they believe is correct. So content, if you will, is separation from God, not content itself, but your inability to see it as content, your inability to see your personality as content is what separates you from God. And God is awareness itself. And so when people are talking about Buddha consciousness or Christ consciousness, or when they're saying they want to wake up in their life, they want to be alive again instead of reactive, they want to live in joy instead of pain, of past hurt, past beliefs and all that. What they're saying is they want the consciousness they had at birth. And since you're not at birth anymore, you have content. In order to get back into the God space, if you will, you have to see your content as content instead of truth or your personality. And your mind's going to hear that as, oh, he's telling you not to believe anything anymore. When actually I'm telling you the opposite. I'm telling you, you really don't believe anything. You're just reactive based on your geography. And if you actually were aware and awake, you could experience your knowledge instead of just believing it. So you're a lower order consciousness in your relationship with God, because you're not with God in your life. You're believing in God, and you're reading sentences to remind yourself what you believe, when God is in you and you're a living manifestation of God in every moment that you're aware of life, instead of stuck in your personality point of view based on your geography. And so in a modern sense, using language that I'm presented here this last 5 minutes, Buddha is Christ, Allah, you pick it. They are awareness of all, because they are living in awareness. They're not living in a temporary point of view that dies with you. And that's where your pain comes from, because you're separate from God. Because of your ego, you're so sure that everything you believe is correct that you can't experience awareness itself. You can't live in God. And I'm not judging you. Actually, every human being is this way. It's part of our evolution. We go back to God when we die. And we're born with God. We go back to God when we die. Everything that we see in our life is out of consciousness. It's imagined into existence by God and herself, his self, whatever your thing is. God doesn't have a sex. God doesn't have a skin color. God is consciousness itself. And so you're going to go back to God kicking and screaming or in joy. and there's nowhere else to go once you lose your point of view of your content. So the question is whether or not you want to discover it while you're living and breathing. There's something very joyful, and it might be God's intention, who knows, was for you to wake up while you're alive. Because consciousness is everywhere, it's in everything. But to have the peace and the ability to experience being alive while you're in a physical form, it might be God's intention for you. I mean, if you think about it, God experiences everything, so she's already doing that. They're already experiencing the all. And so maybe you're here. So, as sort of a step forward for God, so God feels everything through everything, because God is all. Everything is God. And for God then to see the all through your personality, and to see how you judge people and how you protect yourself and don't care about others, or see how you're selfish, and then to see matter that has no visibility into God, find God and see God. That's got to be the ultimate, right? And it's kind of a way of reincarnating, God reincarnating herself, is for God to see matter wake up and be with God. And so it's certainly an endeavor worth pursuing if you're not totally closed about the concept. Anyway, I hadn't chatted with you guys in a while. I thought I would share some cool things I was thinking. Hope you have a great weekend. It's a Friday. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha. You guys have a great day. Take care. Come get a free copy of my ebook, I Am Happy, an Owner's Manual for the Human Mind. And don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Thanks for listening. This is Dan of Vagabond Buddha.